Hello, small disclaimer. This video was originally made for friends who have been interested in cross-stitching, so it's quite personal. A lot of farts, a lot of swearing, and a lot of fuck-ups here and there. So this is not a serious cross-stitch tutorial, but it will tell you things that I know of, or maybe most of it, because I forgot some, because I'm lazy and tired. It's currently 6:30 in the morning, and I'm recording this after recording everything and editing everything, and I had so much fun. But yes, this is not a serious tutorial. This was made for friends. I'm thinking of calling this video a really bad cross-stitch tutorial, and then we'll see from there. But I hope you like the video regardless if you're moving on and watching the whole thing. So, thank you! I'll skip the intro to make it quick. I don't know what to say anyway, so let's just start. So if you're using a kit, you should have pretty much everything that you need. So fabric, which is called Ada, needles, a hoop, and your thread, and the pattern itself, obviously. So needles are actually different for cross stitch and embroidery, basically. So this is a normal sewing needle. You can tell it's a lot longer, and this is an embroidery needle. This one is a lot dull. You can see it doesn't hurt at all. It's very dull. And this is super sharp, so I'm not even gonna try testing it like that. I have this one just in case I wanna pick out my stitches, because I'm usually attaching this one to the thread anyway, so we'll just put that aside for now. And you should have your fabric as well. So in the kit, it's already automatic. Whatever you see, give me a sec. Whatever you get in the fabric, in the kit, is already like fine. But for now, we're gonna be using, I think this is 16 count Ada, or 14 count actually. The count matters because the bigger the count, the bigger the holes will be. The count is pretty much just how many holes there are in an inch of the fabric. So I don't care about like checking. I can just guess, oh, if it's this size, it's 14. But let's actually check together. So an inch would be, let's do here. So 1, 2, 3. Wait, is it here? I think it's here, right? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so this is 11 count fabric. I'm not sure which one comes with yours. I think it's, let me just check real quick. Ah, yes. You're working with 2 strands, so okay, it doesn't really say, I think. But anyway, so we'll be working with 11 count thread today, and the pattern that I will be doing is this. So let's talk a little bit about hoops. So again, your kit should have a hoop with it already. I will be using a plastic hoop. I prefer these because they're a lot tighter, and I find that with wooden hoops, I have to keep undoing and doing the actual setting of it. I don't know the term, but basically I need to keep taking it off and putting it on again because it slips around a lot. So in general, I prefer plastic hoops. That's what you see over here. This one's a square, so it's not circle, but whatever. You will also notice that in a lot of cross-stitch pictures, this is the opposite of what they have. I'll show you an example in a second. But this is also done on a plastic hoop. This one's actually just like circular. So most people, they use plastic hoops or they use Q-snaps or whatever. More on that later. But you'd actually see this part on the top instead of the bottom, which is what I avoid mostly for personal reasons. I will explain more in a sec while I'm setting it up. But yeah, usually the well is on the other side, like just this part is usually up front. I prefer this. I'll explain in a sec. Let me just, I haven't set this up in so long in like the normal way, but you just unscrew your hoop until it's like loose, and then you do that. Yeah. Oh my god. my gosh, why is it so... Okay. Come on. Yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, I literally can't do it. Give me a sec. Okay, this is obviously a bad quality hoop. I think I just got it for free from a kit or something. But this is what you usually see when you look for cross-stitch content on YouTube or Google or Pinterest. This is good if you want to finish a cross-stitch project, because you can then hang this using that. But the problem with that is when you're finishing off a stitch, for example, when I'm done with a piece of thread, what I like to do is I tuck it at the back. I don't like my back to be clumpy or messy, or basically just have a lot of like stuff going on in the back. This is not a problem. This is mostly a personal choice. I just prefer not to, because I like seeing the back. It's something that I like to take pride in. As you see here, it's a little bit chunkier at the back, but that's the reason why I don't do like like a knotted start or a knotted finish. The thing about this as well is if you were stitching and you were to let go of the needle, you could just, it's just there, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't go anywhere, which is when I stitch like this is usually a lifesaver, so it works. And yeah, it's just a personal preference. So I'm definitely not gonna be doing this. I fucking hate it, to be frank. So we're gonna set it up like how I usually do, which is the opposite way, basically. So you have this part with the top lock, I guess, at the back, and you kind of just feel around. Actually, before I start framing it, one more thing. You might have noticed that I've gridded this piece, and that's because it's slightly full coverage, as in when I finish this piece, it's gonna be covered in stitches, basically. It's not gonna be having space in between, kind of like this, where you don't have this part stitched, if you know what I mean. So I gridded it, and gridding is not as popular as it used to be. Some people use thread. I use water soluble markers. I do test this before putting it on a project, so don't worry about that. But I think for yours, definitely don't grid it. You need either water soluble. Some people use heat erasable markers, and they use like a hair dryer on it, and it goes away. But apparently it doesn't really go away. When it gets really cold, the marking comes back, but then you can just remove it with the hair dryer anyway. Some people use thread, they sew it on, and yeah, that's like I use gridding anyway, because like I don't give a fuck, and I don't want to count over and over. It's just easier. So that's 10 squares here and then 10 squares there. I'll explain the squares in a bit, but yeah, that's why you see some gridding here. I am gonna be gridding because it's a lot easier for me, but you know. So in order to find the middle of your fabric, you're gonna fold once. Easy enough. Fold twice. And what I usually do is I stick a needle in the middle. Just pick a middle ground that you can see, like a middle hole. And then you see that over there. So that's the middle of your fabric pretty much. Usually what I do is I take like a pen and I mark it down. You can skip this if you hate the sound, by the way, it's so annoying. So that's the middle of my fabric. I'm not gonna bother gridding the squares. And also, quick thing, each square that you see here is basically where your stitches are going. I'll explain that in a sec. But yeah, so as you're watching, pause the video and look for the middle of your fabric pretty much. So I've got the middle. Next thing I'm gonna do is, usually I stitch with a hoop, but that hoop fucking sucks, so I'm not gonna use it. Or maybe, yeah, I don't have any smaller hoops, so I'll just stitch in hand. I don't usually stitch in hand because, again, I prefer like a tight drum. I don't know, maybe I'll try. Anyway, okay, I managed to hook it on, so I'm just gonna tighten it. General rule is when you're stitching something, you have to have at least 2 inches of space at the edge. I'm gonna unhook this, it's fine. So I've gridded 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 squares here. And when you see the darker part, that's exactly where it ends. So I've checked the pattern and it only needs 80 spaces. And this needs 70 or 90, yeah, 90 spaces. So what happens is you just stitch along that part. What I'm gonna be doing now is when I check the pattern on like the PDF, I see that this is in the middle. So I just copied that on the grid. Most people tend to start in the middle, but anyway, not what I wanted to show you. So if you check over here, you'll see that this has 2 inches. Oh, there. 2 inches. Same here, more than 2 inches. And same goes here and here. And that's so you can frame it pretty much. If it's too close to the edge, it might fray, first of all, which is what happens when your fabric starts to fall apart pretty much. If you see this pattern, it's because I used pinking shears. They're basically like a shaped pair of scissors where they make this pattern so it doesn't fray. Yeah. So middle is over here. It's not dead center. Let me fix that. Okay, that's as close as I can get. I can't be asked. Let's pick the black color first. Definitely if you're getting into cross stitch, get a few of these. You always need black. You always run out. And then what you're gonna do is yours come in like, what is it called? A skein of thread or floss, where it's not rolled around a bobbin. It's totally fine. It should come in a floss card where you have like a cardboard with some holes and they're like tied around it basically. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take that off, and I don't know if yours is already cut to size. So what I usually do for new projects or new things of thread that I have to pull out is, oh, one more thing. I'm gonna add my project minder, which is just magnet, so I can take my needle anytime. But what you're doing here is you take the end of your thread, and this is super subjective. I just follow this because this is how I've been cross-stitching over the years. You take the thread and you pull the bobbin away from you until it's an arm's length. So extend your arm all the way and have the bobbin end up in the middle of your chest. So this is how long that is. Obviously your body's gonna be different from mine. So I just put it back there and I use scissors. Whoop. These are my cross-stitching scissors. They're specifically only for cutting thread basically, so it stays sharp. And I also have a threader because my eyesight is bad, and so is my aim, so it just makes everything easier for me. Now what we're gonna do is, following the pattern, let me set this aside. So what we're doing is we're essentially, again, looking for the middle. Maybe I can save the image. Hold on. Okay, it's not exactly accurate, but it's it's the closest thing I'll do. So I'll be following this then. Since we're gonna be going in the middle first and foremost, I will do this 2 stitches. So while I'm doing these, I'm gonna be showing you the processes of doing the actual stitches and some other methods. Yeah. I do have an app that I can import the patterns on, and it's super neat and cool, and I can't use that here because this is a picture pattern. So I'm gonna be marking down the stitches that I've done just by whoop, 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 you know. So let's start. So I just checked, your project calls for 2 strands of floss. So what we're gonna be doing pretty much is, what you're seeing here is 6 strands. This is the standard for cross stitch, and it's been like the standard for a long time. So usually bigger counts of fabric, which is just bigger holes, would call for more strands, but 2 strands is fine for 11 count. What we're going to be doing is you're going to try to separate the strands the best you can, and you pick one out, and what you're going to do is you hold on to the rest, and then you just pull it out. Just pull it out. Now, this size is the perfect size for me, and you'll see that it's kind of like it goes to my crease, like the crease of my elbow, so from my wrist to the crease of my elbow, or barely. Because any longer than that, usually I tend to get it knotted and all tied up, which is not fun because I hate undoing knots. I usually make myself do it. But basically, you've got your 1 strand of floss, but the project calls for 2 strands. Here's the thing. I like to fold my strands like this, so it's again like that, and you'll see now it's 2 strands. What I'm going to be doing next is, let me see if I can do this first try. Okay, let's see. I'm already close to giving up. Nope. Okay. One more try. Last try. Okay, there you go. So you got the looped part, which is over here, and the double-ended part, which is this part. So that's technically 2 strands, right? I'll show that again. So you got your 6 strands of floss. You pick one out, just like that, and you pull. You just pull, and there's no knots, yeah? And then you take that 1 strand of floss, and you fold it once. You fold it once, and there you go. 2 strands of floss, just like that. And you put I prefer putting the looped part, because it's technically just one thing that you have to insert instead of like 2 things. But if you please, you can I'm just using this as an example. You can just thread it, put it through, and pull, and you got your thing. So this is your working end. This I will show you in a bit what it's for. Now, I did mention that I hate doing knotted starts and ends. I think it's messy, so I prefer not to do it. I'm gonna put the pattern down so we can refer to it in a bit. I want to mention that I fucked up the pattern so many fucking times. I don't know how to count, and I usually have, like I said, or like I mentioned later on, a lot of it is actually gridded with a water-soluble pen, meaning that when I'm done working, I put it in water, the ink comes out, and then it's all good. But because of this, I did not grid it, because I was like, oh, this is gonna be so easy, and I don't need to grid it because I'm so good at cross-stitching. I've been cross-stitching for 5 years. I have 2 hours of footage, and probably 1.5 hours of that footage I was just unpicking and restitching. Yeah. So this is the middle. This is the middle. So you see, I'm not gonna be stitching the white parts, by the way. I'm gonna keep it blank. But you see on this line, 1, 2, 1, 2. So we're gonna count 1, 2. Now, this is how I stitch personally. I go down on the, you see per square, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. There's a stitch here, 3, 4. So what I do is I go on the bottom left here, working end here. You got the loop over here, yeah, and then you go down like this. You pull it down, and you go to the top right over there, yeah, and then you put the loop through the needle just like this, and you pull through. You'll get this thing, and all you have to do is move this aside, go through the same hole but downwards, and you'll see it's all neat and tidy. There, you just did the first half of your square, and then to complete that square, you're gonna go up the bottom right, all the way up. You gotta make sure your tension is good, by the way, and the hoop helps a lot with that. So make sure it's not too loose, and definitely not too tight. When the stitches are too tight, it's freaking ugly. So you got the knot to the bottom right. Now you go to the top left, and then go down, and that's your first stitch. I'm gonna show it again. So This time I won't be showing the loop start because we just did that. You don't need to keep looping it every time. So now that's secure on, and you see how neat that is. So it's secure, not too tight, not too loose. So again, there's a stitch down here, just over here. So you're at the back, right? You're at the back. You go bottom left, top right, pull down all the way, bottom right, top left. And you just keep doing this. And the downside to this is that if I were to, for example, there's no stitch here, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. So for example, if I do that stitch, bottom left, top right, bottom left, bottom right, bottom right, and I were to do the stitch up top, you're just going to be undoing that because you just came from there, right? And if you want to start a stitch up there, then it's just not good. So I try to plan my stitches around that, but honestly, there's some fixes. And this doesn't look neat, which is why I don't do it. I'm just gonna pick these out, and I'm gonna show another example in a sec. Okay, we're gonna be setting up another 4 stitches, and I'll just show you another method that most people use actually. This is called the Danish method, where you only do, I haven't worked with such big fabric in a long time. So again, you would start how you would usually start. So bottom left, top right. But instead of finishing your crosses, you're going to be doing the next one like this. So do your first half of the stitch. And this thing calls for 4 stitches. So we're just going to do that. And now that we're done with that row, you're just going to go back and finish the stitches. So boop. Boop. Also, finding the holes just by feeling is something that you learn over time, the more that you stitch. So don't worry if you can't feel it yet. I needed some time to adjust as well because I haven't worked with this count of fabric in a long time. Now, you'll be able to see that the back is still neat. It's like a straight thing. I don't like doing this because again, I do keep track of how many stitches I've done, and I find half stitches to be annoying. So let me just unpick this real quick. Okay, so now we're back here, and I need to emphasize the fact that you need to make sure that your stitches are always going the same way. If you find bottom right, top left, let's see, what is it? Bottom right, top left, bottom left, top right more comfortable, by all means go ahead. But this is how I've been stitching for the longest time, like ever since I started basically, so it's just what I follow. Different people have different styles. Again, maybe you'd prefer the Danish method, because with the Danish method, what you could do is you could do all the half stitches for that color, sit down and watch TV and just keep doing that. You wouldn't need to look at the pattern, if you know what I mean. So, and there's a saying in the cross stitch community, count twice, stitch once. In the sewing community, it's count twice, cut once. So I'm just finishing this, and the speed of stitching comes with time. So you'll see me just speeding through these. It's honestly just practice. And this is all what stitching is pretty much. It's not too complicated, and it's really therapeutic once you get used to it. So I've just done these 4 stitches. And also, it definitely helps to have a lamp. I have this lamp that I use right here. Ooh. And it helps a lot because I'm blind as a bat, so definitely necessary. We've just done these stitches, so let's cross these out. I usually work from the highest stitches to the bottom, from the middle anyway, and I work until my thread runs out. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be continuing on from this. We're going to go down and do these, and then go all the way down until we complete the border. Yeah, so I'll just stop talking and I'll stitch. Go back, pause, do it, go back and pause, whatever helps. So, And I also want to let you know, if a neat back is something that you want to keep in mind, I do want to say that I tend not to jump from stitch to stitch. So what I mean by that is, if I have a stitch here, for example, let me just finish this. If I have a stitch here, and the next stitch with that color is all the way over here, I won't jump. I count 3 squares minimum, so 1, 2, 3, and then I'll jump, because then you'll see the line. You see that over there? You'll see that. And honestly, it's not a big deal if a neat back is not something that you care about, but I just think that it looks a lot nicer. I'm not so hard on the rules for this one. It really depends, because let me show an example real quick. You see, this project has a lot of colors, and for example, you'll have this, right? I don't want to cut another thread and just start again, so instead I'll jump, and you'll see that line over there, right? And you'll see that I've done that quite a few times here as well. And you know, it's totally up to you whether you feel comfortable jumping or not. Since this is your first project, I wouldn't mind too much, honestly. Okay, let's continue this. And I will mention as well that different needles are different sizes. And whatever needle yours came with is probably the correct size for the fabric. So I'll just continue this. Actually, let me prop this up so I can see what I'm doing. And then I'll show you how to finish when we get there. But now I'll just do this in silence. Yeah, I'll follow the route that I picked earlier. There is a term for it. I will pop it up if I'm gonna bother editing the video. But I personally stitch per color. So if I'm doing the black stitches, I will finish all the black stitches and then move on to the next color. It's what I've been doing since I started, so it's just a habit, honestly, and I just find it super satisfying to finish the color and then see it come out like that. But there are some people who work per square. I don't like that. I feel like it's too many colors to manage. So yeah, one color at a time is what I do. And we're nearing the end. And also, this is a really bad habit of mine, but check the back from time to time to see if a knot has formed, because it's going to be a pain in the ass. You're going to have to unpick the knot and then do it all over again, which is so fucking annoying. So I'm just going to finish this real quick. Yeah, I'm more used to using like thinner needles because my fabric is usually pretty small, so the needle is just coming right out of the holes. It's really annoying, but it's fine. So I have like 8 of the black thread because I use it so much, honestly. Kind of crazy. Yep. You see how I'm keeping the same direction every time? It's just to make sure that the stitches look neat. Okay, I guess the thread popped out of the needle for a bit. Let me just trim this so it's equal. And also, the more you stitch, the more you're gonna have a collection of thread that you don't use. You can see all the colors that are in this. And yeah, I'm just gonna thread this again. Where did I put my... just through the needle if you need it. And then both sides of the... both ends of the thread. There is also this term in the cross-stitching community called thread chicken, where they try to finish up all the thread, like to the very last bit, as in like to struggle putting the needle through because they want to finish it so bad. I don't fucking do that shit, dude. Like, that's such an annoying thing. I cross-stitch to relax. I don't want to get stressed out. So actually, I'll be going in this direction instead of what we said earlier. And now we are nearing the end of the thread. I don't care for wasting the thread. It's cheap and it keeps my sanity, you know, like I don't want to bother really. And I will say that like a thing of thread skein will last you for a long time, honestly. So it's not crazy. And a lot of the time when you get a kit, they send you more than you need. So something to keep in mind. You don't have to worry about using too much thread. So we're nearing the end. I don't want to do any more than this. Honestly, I can't be asked, right? So what we're going to do is the knotless finish. You're just going to have your needle thread the same way. And you just thread it through the old stuff. So just boop, 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 boop. And then push it a little bit. And then pull through. And then you're just going to cut. And you just made your stitches. I'm gonna mark this as done on the pattern. So let's get my tablet and let's undo this. So we marked this down, this part, this part, this part, and we went here. So you do have a paper pattern, so I do suggest maybe scanning it and doing it digitally, because I really like marking on the paper is so annoying. So you know, but it's up to you if you feel confident. This isn't going to be a struggle going up, so we're going to do that. Yeah. A little goodie as well is I have a lot of enamel pins and I cut off the back and I put a magnet on it. So this is called a needle minder. You put the magnet side down, put another magnet, and it's stuck to your project basically. You can move it around, it's not crazy tight, but it's stuck there. Like it won't move. And what you can do with it is when you're done with your needle, if I can find one. When you're done with your needle, you stick it on. You don't have to put it down and lose it, which is what I do all the time. But I do have this for that purpose as well. So I have a lot of needle minders, have a lot of like, this is a needle minder also. It's a burger and I put my scissors and my threader in this magnet bottom. I also have this capybara one. It's really cute. It has a lobotomy. And I just put my magnets in there. I don't need this because it's such a small project, but it's something nice to have. If you don't have enamel pins, you can just use a fridge magnet. Fridge magnet here, and a loose magnet at the back. Boop. And I think this is too thick of a plastic thing, but no, it still fits. It's not the strongest, but it works, you know, like DIY that shit. No need to spend money on useless things. Anyway, let's continue on. I'll show you the start again. So you get your one strand of floss. You know what? I'll pull again. You get your one strand of floss from your 6 strands. You single one out. I'm usually like a lot. I usually put this to my face to see everything, but here you single one out. You hold on to the other ones. You pull. You just keep pulling, and it should be smooth. Yeah. Then you take your one strand of floss and then you fold it in half pretty much. Oh god, it got knotted. Yep, all good. And then you fold it in half. You have the looped side and the working end. Get your needle. I'm gonna use a threader just so I don't get pissed off. And then loop that through, pull. We're gonna be working on the upper side, so go here, bottom left, top right, put the loop inside the needle, pull through, go to the same hole you did, which is the top right, pull it down, bottom right, top left, bottom left, top right, bottom right, top left. Again, bottom left, top right, bottom right. Oh, bottom right. No, I didn't know this was sticking on. Top left, there's a knot already because it's long, so I'm just gonna ignore that. If it's a really big knot, I prefer you don't ignore it, but this is super small. You can barely see it. You can just feel it. So, bottom left, top right, bottom right, top left. And I'll show you the rest. Okay, I just did some more stitches as you can see here, and we've managed to meet the middle point again. But this is gonna be a little bit of a problem, I feel. So again, like I showed you, when you go up, it undoes the stitches because it's, you know, it's where you came from, where you ended the stitch. So you've got this problem area over here where you go up here. So in this sense, I would, since I'm done with the stitch over here, I'm actually gonna go to this one and then do this, and then after that I'm gonna go here, go here, and because I'm ending here, I'm gonna go back up here. I'll show you. I'm sorry about the diagram. You know, I'll make it clearer. Oh, there's an arrow option. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here, oh no, here, 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 here. And since this ends here, actually, I'm just gonna go here instead of jumping and go here. I'll show you in the works, okay? I've already done this one stitch, so I'm gonna count here. So that's 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're getting to the knot, so it's gonna just be tucked in. Are you serious? I made another knot. Now this is where a second needle comes in handy. I take the sewing needle, I puck it out, and I see what's the problem. I don't think I can undo this knot. Oh, never mind. Yeah, it did itself. I usually just pull on them. If it doesn't work, I cut it out. But yeah, let me find my needle. My tablet's magnetic because of the smart pen, so my needle actually gets stuck to the bottom a lot. And further. Okay, we're back. Boop. Boop. Okay, that row is done. So we go over on the left hand side again. All the way to the right. So now we're done with this part. You know what? I'll just mark it. I'll mark this as done like that. Is my pen not working? Let me attach it again so I can use it later. Okay, and we're done with those two, so we're gonna go back here. And we're gonna skip that because it's a white part. And like I mentioned, this doesn't start on the same top, so I'm gonna go here, up here, and then to the right, to the left. The thread is getting small as well, so we might tuck in soon. Oh, what's that? It's fine. Is that knotted? No. And keep a habit of checking your stitches as well, just to make sure they lay nicely. So there's something going on there. I think it's the fabric actually. Let me just pull that taut. Boop. And come to the bottom, right, up, down. So that's done. We're just gonna do these last 2 stitches. Boop. Boop. Oh, okay. Yeah, we're getting too short. I can't be asked. So let's just finish this stitch real quick. So what I like to do is, it needs to go through at least like 3 for sure, so it stays secure. So I'm just gonna travel a little bit actually. And then I need to go here just so I feel safe. Like it won't come off or anything. There you go. Pull through. And you can cut it off now. Whoop. There you go. I'll skip to wherever I'm happy with. See, I already fucked up. This is actually calling for 1 stitch only. So I'll show you how to undo your stitches. Usually I just use my needle, but if you have one of these lying around, you can totally use it. So you just go to the last stitch that you did. Just identify that shit. Unpluck it. And do... You gotta be careful not to damage the fabric, yeah? You just keep undoing the thing. Or getting it loose so you can like pull it. And this happens to me a lot because I can't count. And just undo these. We tucked them in earlier, so it's a little bit harder to get out, which is a good thing. That means we secured it really well. And then just keep undoing it. You gotta be really calm about this because you don't want to undo the stitches that are really good. None of the stitches were good because they were mostly wrong and I had to undo most of the left part. And like that. And you'll see that the stitches come up here. So what I actually like to do is I like to put the threader through the hole if the fabric allows. And I like to stick the thread into the hole. And then you just pull it down. Just pull it straight down. Now that we're here, I'm just going to thread my needle again. This is why I don't like doing thread tricking, because it's so irritating to undo a stitch and then you find out you don't have any more thread to undo, so you can't really like tuck them in the same way that you did. Same thing. We're just gonna see it's too tight now, so what I'm actually gonna be doing is I'm gonna stick the thread to where I want to put it through, which is through these stitches, and I will just put the threader through and put the thread under, and I'm going to use my sewing needle to pull the thread through. I pull the thread through the needle itself, so now it's on the needle and I just pull. You see? All done. I fucked up enough to know what works when it comes to things like this, so a lot of frustration, but it works. There you go. I'll see you in a bit. So we're actually going to be picking up where I left off. I think I had to stop because my phone died and it stopped recording basically. At this point, I think I still didn't realize that I fucked up. So you'll see the footage of me realizing later because Altaf does help to count the stitches for me because I fucked it up hard. I don't usually do things without grids. I literally can't. I need it because I can't count to save my life. But I'm just gonna continue on with the I had a little bit of advice, so I will be giving that out now. Admittedly, a lot of these are actually from online. I just searched up top cross stitch tips because I can't remember them from the top of my head. I do have one that I want to point out because this is something that's really useful, I think. I mentioned that I do try to keep my stitches uniform, neat and tidy and all that goodness. There's one specific thing that I do all the time, and you'll see me do it in the video as well, which is twisting my thread. So when you're doing all the crossing and the stitching, your thread will eventually twist. It's not terrible, but what will happen is the texture will change, and you'll basically see it lay weirdly on the fabric itself over time. So it's gonna be like this really thin and obviously twisted texture or whatever, and I try to avoid that as much as I can if I can help it. And second thing, now I'm gonna be reading from online, is definitely wash your hands. You look, when I stitch, I usually stitch for more than 30 minutes, an hour usually. What happens is I can feel my hands getting sticky and sweaty from all the sweat. I'm a freaking sweaty person, dude. So yeah, all of the oils or sweat, it will get on your fabric no matter what you do, no matter how diligent you are. It's just that if you can avoid it, obviously you definitely should. Eventually when you finish your project, I will say that it is encouraged to wash it because you might find some staining or it just looks weird, or if you're like me, I use what is it called, water soluble gridding, which is what you saw in the beginning of the video with my other project. So yeah, and second thing that I do as well is when I started cross stitching, I used a smaller count of 8-up fabric, the same one that I'm using for the Snoopy piece that you see me stitching right now. It definitely helps a lot. It's totally up to you. I find now that I've been stitching for quite a while, even if you can't tell because I fucked up real bad, I tend to stitch on 16 count or higher. Actually, honestly, 16 count or 18 count only. I can't do even weave yet, but honestly, pick a smaller grid size. It's easier to see. You're more used to it. You get more used to it over time, and then you can just get like a higher count. And eventually you're gonna see how your stitches lay, and you gotta adjust sooner or later, but it's just easier to put your needle through for sure. And also, I mentioned this earlier, definitely get a lamp. It's so helpful. I'm freaking blind as a bat, dude. You saw, dude. You in the video, you can literally see me struggle to thread the needle sometimes, and it's embarrassing. I can't do it. I have tremors and I'm blind as a bat. So, and general rule is when you're stitching, if you have a kit, this should probably say it already, but you would usually stitch with 2 strands anyway. So again, in the video, I put my arm out and I put the bobbin to my chest, or the skein to my chest, and I cut that. Anything longer, usually it will get tangled and I just get pissed off and I start getting angry, and I don't want to do that because I'm supposed to be relaxing while I'm cross stitching. So 2 strands, you fold it in on itself, and then you do the loop start like I showed you earlier in the video. And okay, this is very personal. Cross stitch is a very subjective thing. There's a neat way to do things, but there's not really any wrong or correct way to stitch. It's just up to what you want to do, how much time you have. It's totally up to you. But embroidery hoops are another thing. I talked about it earlier in the video. I prefer to use plastic hoops because it keeps attention. I do know people who prefer stitching without a hoop, even if it means no tension at all, and they prefer it that way. Besides a tension problem for myself personally, I don't go hoopless because when I hold on to the fabric for a long time, my hand feels like it's about to cramp. So yeah, and I do like the colorful plastic hoops, so that's one plus for me. And recently I did buy some sewn grid, what is it, grime guards. I've never had one of those before, but I know a lot of people who use hoops, or nurge hoops I think is what they're called, and Q snaps as well. I'll put some pictures on there so you can see. A lot of people use that, so it's just something that I want to get into. And another thing is definitely keep your tension. Your tension has to be right. It can't be too loose because you don't want your stitches moving around, and it can't be too tight where you're what is it? What's the term? Morphing the fabric almost. And I want to say this because I fucked up here, and you can see it. Definitely count twice, stitch once. Alright, I know it's really simple and I should have done it. I know better, but you know, fuck it, it happens, shit happens. And another thing is yeah, it has a tip that I said about the twisting of the thread. Yeah, it says let the needle hang with the thread. I do this several times throughout the video, I feel, but I don't exactly know what. And also, one more thing is, if you're my friend and I've talked to you about cross stitch, you might have seen me mention DMC. So DMC is one of the most popular brands, if not the most popular brands for embroidery floss or embroidery thread, whatever. And one of the reasons is because they have a lot of colors. They have a fuck ton of colors. Second is that they're the most accessible. Literally all over the Philippines, people cross stitch everywhere, and the number one thing that I always see when they're selling cross stitch stuff is DMC. So that's definitely the staple, and most patterns use DMC, most kits use DMC. There's always conversion charts for Anchor or whatever the name of that Japanese brand is, and that's totally fine. I just prefer DMC because I know it's safe. It's what I've been using since I've been stitching. I have bought some bootlegs and they fucked me over because they weren't color fast. Color fast is basically the term for when the color of your thread runs when you're washing it, so it stains your fabric, which is all kinds of fucked up, honestly. And yeah. Oh, definitely do not mark your fabric with pencil. Don't do that. Just don't. You can't erase it. There's no freaking way. A lot of people grid with either what is it called, water soluble pen, which is what I use. I would suggest to do a test first. So right on the edge of some fabric, soak it and see what happens if it goes all the way, so you know whether to use cold water, hot water, how long you need to soak it for. So yeah. Some people use heat erasable pens. I mentioned this earlier in the video as well. You can. It's just that people who live in colder climates, a lot of the time, apparently it's never happened to me, but a lot of the time the ink comes back, because when you write on a piece of paper with heat erasable pen and then you put it in the freezer, it comes back. So yeah, and I think that's all, honestly, for the beginner tips that I have. Is just start simple, have a few colors, you know, or even better, use a kit. I would prefer, like, if you were to use DMC kits, because they do have everything, you know. And I think that's literally it. That's all there is to it. It's just, you can't rush it. I fucked up because I rushed it, you know. It's supposed to be like a mindful, slow hobby, and that humbled me, I'm gonna be honest. So I think that should be it. Enjoy my montage of fuck ups. And that's the little Snoopy project done. You see me putting in my last stitch. I got really excited. And I was thinking of tucking in the stitches, so I was like, nah, I'll use the thread to make the border. I am whispering because it's 6 a.m. and I don't want to wake up my husband, and I got into basically an editing frenzy, and I was just like, yeah, I'm so done. But thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I liked making it despite the frustrations. Definitely do take my last advice. Take it slow. It's supposed to be a relaxing hobby. It's supposed to be mindful. It's supposed to be human. It's made by a person. There will be mistakes, and it's just, you need to enjoy it, is what I'm trying to say. And thank you so much for watching till the end. I'll see you maybe with a better one next time if I figure out how to make a better one. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.